Welcome to Between the Sheets, the podcast where we're going to cover a variety of topics related to sexual health and wellness. I'm Dr. Stephanie Zwonitzer, your host. I'm a nurse practitioner and have been in practice since 2017. I have my Doctor of Nursing Practice degree, and I specialize in urology and sexual health. I am so excited to explore all of the various topics related to sexual health and wellness with you in a fun, spicy, educational, and non-judgmental manner. So come on, let's get between the sheets. Welcome back to Between the Sheets. Today we're going to cover an amazing topic, orgasms. Everybody can have sex, not everybody can have orgasms or every time. So let's get into the nitty-gritty and figure out how to get you having some good orgasms. Orgasms are peak sensations of sexual arousal and sexual tension release. It's caused by stimulation of any of the sexual erogenous zones. There are 4 stages. There's desire, arousal, orgasm, and resolution. It is intense feelings of pleasure in the genitals, but also throughout the body. Obviously, this is everyone's ultimate goal with sex, but orgasms don't have to be a part of every time you have sex. Sometimes you won't be feeling well, sometimes it might not hit the right spot, sometimes your partner will come before you and then you won't have time to. There's a variety of reasons, but orgasms are certainly what we're all hoping for. During an orgasm, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, and your breathing increases. Hormones are released into your bloodstream, so you have endorphins, those are the feel-good hormones. The oxytocin, that's the love hormone, that makes you feel all gushy towards your partner. These also counteract cortisol, which is the stress hormone, so that's why we all feel stress relief when we get a good orgasm. During the orgasm, also muscles in your genitals and your anus contract rhythmically and repeatedly, like about 5 to 7 times. The contraction of the muscles gives release to fluid, which is called ejaculate. Men and women ejaculate. About 10 to 54% of women ejaculate or squirt. And some men will ejaculate, sometimes they will have no ejaculate, and sometimes they will have what's called retrograde ejaculation, which, whether it's because of being on medications or a prostate procedure or something along those lines, their ejaculate, instead of coming out through the penis, ends up going up into the bladder and they pee it out later. Not harmful to the patient, just sometimes it's a little weird for them to get over mentally that there's no evidence of their orgasm when they're used to that. Orgasms last only a few seconds to up to 30 seconds, maybe a little bit longer depending on how strong the orgasm is. Sensations can be mild or intense. Even one individual can have different styles of orgasms. After the orgasm, your organs that were swollen, so your genitals, your labia, for women, that would be the labias, the clitoris. For men, obviously, your penis. The swollen glands return to normal size and color. There is increased sensitivity to the genitals, so a lot of times where you just had your orgasm, you may not want that to be touched right away. There's flushing of the skin, not just your cheeks, which a lot of people get, but you can also get flushing of your neck and your chest. You will have, hopefully, with a really good orgasm, feelings of satisfaction, relaxation, and sometimes fatigue. There are people who fall asleep right after having sex. There's also the refractory period. So for men, this is the time between when they climax and they lose that erection to when they can get their next erection. This varies for everyone. For women, it might be when you want to be touched again, if you're overly sensitive in the area after having had an orgasm, but this does vary for everyone. So there's a variety of ways to have an orgasm. There are different types of orgasms. So there's anal orgasms. That comes from direct anal stimulation, whether that is penetrative or not. Clitoral stimulation is more of the external stimulation for women, although a large part of the clitoris is internal. Vaginal, intervaginal stimulation, penetration. Think about the G-spot that people have been told about. This is less than 1 in 5 women get penetrative orgasms. You can also get cervical orgasms. With a deep penetration, you can actually hit the cervix. And that gives a really good full body and longer lasting orgasm for these lucky ladies that can achieve this type of orgasm. There's combination orgasms where you're stimulating more than one area at a time. So for women who do get G-spot orgasms, this could be with vaginal penetration as well as clitoral stimulation, or clitoral stimulation with anal stimulation, something along those lines. You can also have orgasms in different erogenous zones. So you can climax from secondary areas like the neck, the earlobes, your thighs, nipples. There's plenty of different erogenous zones throughout the body, and some people are lucky enough to climax with just playing with those. There are really great health benefits of orgasms. There are health benefits of sex even if you don't reach orgasm. But specifically for orgasms, you can have relief of headache or pain. So the whole women saying they have a headache so they don't want to have sex is actually totally wrong. You should definitely have sex when you have a headache. It can really help relieve that pain. It can improve your cardiovascular health. It can decrease menstrual cramps for women. It can improve self-confidence. It can improve sleep, and it can also decrease stress. There are changes to orgasms over time throughout your lifespan. So advancing age can make it more difficult to get an orgasm. It can maybe make things change in the way that you might need lubrication where you didn't need lubrication anymore, and that can help you get there. Changes are also on expectations and beliefs. Do you have religious beliefs that affect how you and when you have sex, or what is allowed for you to do in having sex? Are there expectations that you have for your partner or for each time that you have sex? Do you expect to have an orgasm every time you have sex, or multiple orgasms for some women? Changes over time can also include hormone imbalances. For men, that would be more of your testosterone issues. For women, that could be going through menopause and having changes with their estrogen and progesterone levels. You can have a lack of emotional connection with your partner, and that could have changes in your orgasm levels and your ability to get orgasms. If you're not connecting as well with this partner as you did with a different partner, that could have an influence. Past bad experiences. If you were raped or sexually assaulted in a different way, if you just had some really bad sex or really bad oral sex or a really bad fingering or something along those lines, and that's playing in your head when you're trying to have sex with someone new, oh, I hope they don't touch me the way that person did, that can affect your ability to get all the way to climax. Also comorbidities, so that's other disease processes that are happening in your body, and that can be mental health issues, cardiovascular issues, diabetes, lots of different things. And it can also be the medications that you're taking for those issues that can affect your ability to get an orgasm. For example, antidepressants are pretty well known. In fact, in urology, we prescribe antidepressants for guys who have premature ejaculation, which we will cover in a different episode for you. Stress can also affect your orgasm, your ability to get an orgasm, your ability for men to maintain their erections. So stress is really affecting our sex lives. So what are the differences between men and women? Well, a lot. But the biggest one is probably that men are going to get orgasms from penetrative sex where most women are not. Women have less of a recovery period, so they can have multiple orgasms if they're continually stimulated. And like I said earlier, some women might need a little break, but just from overstimulation and being sensitive in those areas. But the women can turn around and have another orgasm pretty quickly in most cases. Whereas men, you have a refractory period that can last from minutes to days. The older you get, that does tend to get a little bit longer. For women, your orgasm is going to last anywhere from 13 to 51 seconds. That's more, the 51 is more of those cervical ones that we talked about. Men, yours is going to average 5 to 22 seconds. A little fact that I thought was really kind of fun to find out is that the average ejaculate goes 28 miles per hour. So you're welcome for that little fact. I don't think I'll ever forget that one now. 68% of women have faked orgasms, whereas only 27% of men have. And yes, men can fake an orgasm because, like I said, men don't always have an ejaculate. So there is not always evidence of that for men. Plus, if you're wearing a condom and you take it off yourself, your partner wouldn't necessarily know if there was an ejaculate in the condom. For women, 63% will have an orgasm with a male partner versus 92% being able to climax with masturbation. For men, 85% will have an orgasm with a female partner. So these are heterosexual relationships for that. 4%, only 4% of women will have an orgasm if it's the first time they've hooked up with someone. For men, first time you hook up with someone, at least 55% of them will orgasm. For women who have consistent difficulty achieving orgasm, 25%. So 1 in 4 women are going to have struggling with orgasms throughout their life. For men, 25% of older men, so age 65 to 74, they are going to have difficulty climaxing. So it's a little bit different for all age of women, 1 in 4. And for men, it's just 1 in 4 out of this particular age group. There is what's called orgasm gap. So all over the world, in heterosexual relationships, the male ability to orgasm versus the female ability to orgasm. United States, good job, is second worldwide for how bad this gap is. So the number of female orgasms to male partner orgasms in married couples showed that 87% of men orgasm with every sexual experience, and only 49% of women with every sexual experience. And that's just here in the United States, so obviously other places do better than us. But that just goes to show you that we do have this disparity between men and women. We certainly need to kind of close that gap and get a little bit closer. We will cover orgasm disorders in another episode, but for today I just really wanted to cover that this climax, this exciting part of our sexual experience and what that does for us. Like I said earlier, there is more to having sex than just having the orgasm. It certainly builds intimacy with your partner and connection. There's the emotional piece of it, the stress release, whether you climax or not. But I know we're all chasing that climax. Okay, this will be... So how can we achieve that climax, right? So for most of us, that's going to be learning how to touch ourselves and make ourselves orgasm. So masturbate. If you don't play with yourself, how are you going to teach your partner how to play with you? You need to know how to make you come the best. And whether that is using for females, if that's using your hand or a toy, men, hand or a sleeve, some other apparatus to mimic a vagina, that is going to be really important for you across your sexuality. Like I said, orgasms are going to change across your life. And so you need to be able to adapt to that. You need to be able to figure out when that's changing for you, how do you need to adapt to that? How are you going to get off now that you didn't necessarily need before? And if you know that for yourself, then you can show your partner. And you guys can work on that together. Self-pleasure is always a number one factor for learning how to orgasm. Other than that, get comfy, get cozy, decrease your stress, get the kids or the distractions out of the house, go to a hotel, whatever you need to do to be in the right mindset and ready to enjoy and relax. Experiment with different touches, different pressures, different rhythms. Reading or watching erotica and porn, those things can get you in the mood or get you started. But keep the pressure off of having to achieve the orgasm. If you chase it and enjoy the process, then that can give you a better chance of achieving one instead of just being so focused on, I have to. You'll get there. Just give yourself some time and some enjoyment. Get those toys out. Especially for women, the vibrators can be huge for learning how to climax with clitoral stimulation. Sometimes having a inserted dildo in the vagina can add some extra pressure, even if you are using an external vibrator, and that can kind of bring the orgasm to that next level. Guys, there's all kinds of toys out there for you as well, from different sleeves. There's different styles of them. There are also toys that you guys can use with your partners. So if you are maybe long distance, you can each have a masturbating tool that can help you stay connected for when you're not together. It's also really fun to use toys to self-masturbate in front of each other or for your partner to masturbate you, and that's really exciting. Therapy can really help as well. So if you're struggling with getting orgasms, achieving orgasms, liking sex because of a past experience, talk to a sex therapist. They can really help you work through those issues to break down the barriers so that you can enjoy a better sexual experience. It's time for my favorite segment of the show, Between the Sheet Shenanigans. We've got some great stories for you, and as always, the details of the stories will be changed so that you cannot identify who the owner of the story is. It might be my story, might be my friends or family members, or even a patient's story, but you're not going to be able to tell. Please send in your stories as well so we can shake up the details and share your stories. Send them into podcastbetweenthe.sheets@gmail.com. Let's tell some stories. So the first one that we're going to talk about is I have a friend who could not orgasm. She was in her late 20s, early 30s at the time that she was telling me about this. She had never masturbated, and we had talked about the fact that, like I said, if you can't touch yourself and pleasure yourself, how are you going to expect to have your partner do that? And so we got her to buy a vibrator. She had taken time to play with herself, to figure it out, and now she has fantastic orgasms, and she's even able to get them without the vibrator, with her partner stimulating her clitoris. So that was really exciting for them, and for her specifically, because she was kind of getting to the point where, yeah, sex is nice because I feel relaxed afterwards, but man, I'm just so frustrated that I don't get this climax that everybody else talks about. So it was really good for her and for their relationship. I have a coworker who we were all talking one day about vibrators. I don't remember if it was somebody had gone to a party or how it came up, but we were talking about these. And one of the girls was just really quiet. We're like, well, have you ever used one? And she was like, no, I've never used one. I wouldn't know how, whatever. So there were 6 of us, so 5 other women, and we were all like, oh my god, please go get a vibrator, like, you need to experience this is such a great thing. She went out and got one and came to work with a big old smile on her face the next Monday. Told us that, yeah, we were right, she definitely needed to add that into her sex life. So that was a great one. I have some friends who can orgasm repeatedly. I have one who she orgasms to the point where she loses track when she's having sex or masturbating. She really enjoys this about herself. It's very fun for her. It's very fun for her partners. They enjoy it as well and are pretty enthused when they have sex with her for the first time, and they're like, holy shit, you do this a lot. Wow, this is pretty great. So that's a really fun one for a female who can have a lot of orgasms. I also have a friend who had never orgasmed with penetration. That she just couldn't come that way. It was not going to work for her. She had never had a guy get her off that way, and she said that she will propose to the first man who can ever get her off through penetrative sex. So I thought that was kind of funny in a way that we can look at things differently, and just kind of however you get your orgasms is okay, but I understand the want to strive for that penetrative orgasm as well. But just again, remember, not all women are going to get it. I have a friend who had a really fun date night with a new boyfriend that she was dating. This was several years ago. And she spent the day and night with him. And they had sex multiple times. And he was very thrilled because he had the ability to orgasm 7 times in 24 hours. This was a record for him. He was very proud of himself, felt really good about that. He was in his early 40s at the time. So that was kind of fun, and it's a great story for them to tell. I also have a friend who was getting oral sex one night, vaginally, clitoral stimulation from her new partner. It was a one-night stand while she was on vacation, and it was with a younger guy, and he was so excited because she climaxed while he was giving her oral sex, and she was a squirter, and she squirted all over his face, and he pulled his head out of her between her legs and was so excited with this big old grin on her face, and she was like, what? And he said, I've never had that happen before. You just squirted all over my face. That was so cool. Like, he was so excited, and she's telling me this story. It was great. So that was a really good laugh that we had, and just a really fun story of, you know, it doesn't matter who you're having sex with or how old you are or anything like that. When you find that right partner to get you off the right way, it can be really exciting and fun. And I think that orgasms are a really great thing to strive for. I hope that they relieve some stress for you and you find a way to knock that out of the park. Thank you for listening and spending time with me today. You can catch new episodes of Between the Sheets every Wednesday, because what better way to add some spice to your life than to have a new podcast on Hump Day? We will continue to explore common, uncommon, and taboo topics related to sexual health and wellness. Please send any comments, questions, or stories to podcastbetweenthesheets@gmail.com. That's all one word, podcastbetweenthesheets@gmail.com. Have a great day. And remember how important it is to discuss these topics with your friends, your family, and of course your partners. In fact, you can like, follow, and share this podcast so they can see it too. See you next time for more sexual health topics between the sheets.